I'm Scott Jones from Washoe Valley, Nevada. Been friends with Randy for over 30 years. Wish he was here to join us, but he's a busy man. And Nevada is kind of unique. We've got great big game hunting, just not tons of it, because typically they reside in the mountain ranges. And we have a lot of mountain ranges, but they're small with big, vast, dry valleys in between. We're really lucky in Nevada. We're over 80% public land. The weather can really be different. You might be hunting in 90-degree weather one day and hunting in a snowstorm the next, especially in September. This particular area is a mountain range that's kind of by itself. It's several miles to the next mountain range that has any water. It's eastern Nevada. Not known all that well, not like the Ely area is known for. That's where our first elk were reintroduced. We filmed out here the first year of On Your Own Adventures on a leftover tag so that we would have our 12th episode, and we saw a fair amount of deer, but a ton of elk, and one 7x7 that was just probably the biggest bull I've ever seen. So I started putting in for cow tags, archery cow tags here, and set up a tree stand up off of a spring and shot a couple cows off of that. It's not too hard to recruit people to come on these big game hunts in Nevada because the tags are few and far between. On this hunt, I had ROBBIE Whitney, 35-year friend that I met when I moved to Nevada. Troy Lane, same story. Him and ROBBIE went to school together in Carson City. Known both those guys for 35 years. Met Ken probably 30 years ago. He watched my kids grow up and became real close with that family. Another friend, Don Klebenaw, I've worked with his brother for years. I've known Don for a few years, but he lived out in Elko. He came and joined us for a couple days also. One thing that made this hunt real special was a recent blood test that I'd had. I had prostate cancer 3 years ago and had it removed, and then it started to grow again, and went through treatment this spring and early summer and got my first test back, and it was a 70% decrease in the cancer. So came into this hunt pretty darn happy, and it's just made it even more special to know that I've got many more hunts out in front of me. The first day we got to a spot we'd chosen to start from, and right off the get-go in the dark we had a bull bugling off to our east.
We got one up here.
So we chased him, but he was headed to the bedding area and never got an opportunity. We stopped and glassed from that ridge and saw several bulls come over the ridge to the west of us. So after chasing that bull in the morning and glassing some others, we got back down to the trucks, and Ken had bedded a nice 6-point with a really good 5-point. So Michael and I did a big long loop.
We'll get above him to start.
And we probably got, 120 yards, and we spotted the cows and could tell it was the area that they were bedded in.
I'd shoot him if we could get him to come over. One of the cows is standing up.
So we set up. I had a shooting lane up to my right. And that 5-point got up and came over on a string. I was at full draw and following him. He got to that shooting lane and it just seemed like he slipped through it too quick and I didn't get the shot.
But he went through the opening too fast. I just didn't feel good shooting.
Unfortunately, he did, like bulls will, get downwind from us and took off. So there was not another opportunity on him.
He was nice. He's just 5-point, but he was nice. All right, well, let's go back down that drainage. I love that feeling.
We didn't get any shooting, but had some great excitement that first morning. Went out, looked for more elk. And went back over to where we had been hunting that morning and found some more bulls, did some cow calling. We didn't get another opportunity to put a sneak on them and get real close. So the first day was phenomenal. Multiple bulls bugling, a full draw, close encounter. I could not wait for day 2. Go back to the same spot, see some bulls, hear some bugling, but we couldn't get anything bedded that we could see. So we started slow hunting through some thick stuff, heading down towards the spring.
fast. I mean, I haven't shot yet, but I'm having a good time. Just came in right behind us.
Yeah. We came back to camp and met Don, who had gone up earlier to another spot, and he said, I got one for you to sneak on this evening. We headed up there, hiked maybe a mile up to a vantage point that he'd been glassing from.
Go up a little ridge and you have a back basin. They're in that back basin.
And we found the cows, but we couldn't find the bull. And we, repositioned ourselves, trying to change angle. And finally, Troy spotted the bull, and he was bedded away from the cows. The cows had gotten up and started feeding, but he was bedded a little ways away from him, but still had an eye on him. We decided, well, we'll go down, make a big loop, and come in underneath because the sun was starting to drop behind the mountain, and we figured we'd at least get a consistent downdraft.
Let's use the decoys to slip in between trees. I've used them pretty effectively before.
Got up on a ridge, snuck through some trees, got about 100 yards from this bull.
His cows are grazing and he's just hanging around with them.
He ended up just pushing his cows on up the hill. A lot of times they'll get in between you and the cows, and that's what he did.
He was really showing his stuff. I mean, man, that was some of the best angry bugling, but he just wouldn't come any closer than that one clump of trees. Got between us and his cows and just screamed a few times, and now he's pushing them up the hill. That's a fine bull right there, buddy. Good call it, dude. You had him pissed off. He wasn't gonna leave those cows. But man, he was screaming back at you. You and Troy both.
It wasn't an opportunity, but very, very exciting to watch, and couldn't wait again for the next morning.
Really, man.
vetted for us up here. We're gonna go make a move on it. That's only 25 yards if he'd have took 2 more steps.
We came back to camp, grabbed a sandwich, and we all spread out looking for a different place to chase elk. Michael and I went up to a spring, just didn't see anything for elk. Nobody else had seen much for elk either, so we decided day 4 we're gonna head back over to the same little honey hole. Even though we've been burning at it, we thought it's our best option, and that's what we did.
Done for the night. Go back and have some chili and some brats.
On day 5, we went back to the same spot, and Troy spotted some cows and a bull way up high. So Michael, Don, and I put a sneak on him. On the sneak, a snowstorm set in, and we had to hunker down under a tree for a couple hours, but nothing was able to happen, so we came back down to the truck. So after hunting our favorite spot for 5 mornings, we decided to find some more elk and headed up to a high point. On the way, we bumped a bull that ran over the ridge, so we parked and walked up through the saddle. We spotted a bull across the basin from us and then heard other bulls bugling. So we knew we had a spot to hunt for our last day, and we didn't chase anything that evening because we were putting all our cards on the last day. Last day of the hunt, head up, park below the saddle, get up on top, and immediately we've got a bull bugling away down in the basin.
We'll get up on the saddle and start calling here in another 5 minutes or so and try to get him coming on up. We'll try to pull him right through this saddle. He's coming. Let them do the calling now.
He hung up there, realized something wasn't quite right. So we played with him and tried to call him back. He didn't come quite as close. And it started snowing. I looked at Michael and I said, we're going to try to use this fog and snow as cover and go straight at him and just make something happen. You know, we spent 4 hours on this bull.
It was 82 yards when he was by that tree, just too far. So, I'm done with him. Let's go find another bull. This will be our last attempt probably, but that's okay.
I never saw that bull that we were actually going after, but we did see 2 other bulls. One had cows, and he was the one we got the closest to, was the one with the cows. He came out, bugled at us, kind of looked around, and then went back to the north and started pushing his cows up the canyon. We tried following him, could never catch up. The sun was going down, and that was the end of a wonderful hunt.
We're gonna start heading back to the truck, but it's been a great hunt. Yeah, thanks for all the great calling, you guys. Oh, it's been a blast. We made a lot of stocks and stuff, and you know, some people are probably going to say I should have shot, but I've watched the last 5 elk die because I was patient, and I've had it get messy, and I decided not going there again. I'd rather not get an elk than to wound one.
This was a dirty pile of fun. Hey, thanks guys.
Awesome.
Sorry, I'm a hugger.
I can't say I'm not a little disappointed, but you know, the best part about this hunt was getting together with old friends, and don't you let another season go by. Get out there and chase some elk in September, even if it's one tag holder and a bunch of friends. I mean, that's what worked out best here. I got to be the one getting the shots all the time, but it really means a lot to have these guys take time out of their schedules and away from their family and work to come and help me with this hunt. It really made it special to have these guys along.
That's gonna be 30